vote. Well, as Ronan quite rightly said, Sir Billy Bragg. I tell you, there's a nice ring to that. I don't know.
I thought Baron Bragg of Barking, I quite like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Welcome back again to Ireland, Billy.
Nice
to see you again. 18 months ago we last met, and you said under no circumstances would you appear in a video, that it was rubbish, it was manipulation of funds, and if you had £50,000 to spend, you said you'd much sooner buy a house for your mother.
Right.
Answer that.
I'm not in that video.
Yes, you are. We saw you there twice.
No, that's serious. We made a video for Levi Stubbs' Tears, which I said, I'll make a video if it's me playing a guitar and singing. That's what I do. So actually film me live, and that was £15,000. I thought that was far too much money to spend on a video. And I think they made that one for about £9,000. But I overcome my fear of spending that money when the record company said they'd pay for it. So, but no one should. I mean, nobody.
It looks good, though. The underwater stuff was great.
Yeah.
Billy, let's just talk a little bit about Red Wedge. What is Red Wedge? Explain it, please.
Well, really, it's very basic level. It's a collective of artists, musicians and political people who are sort of working together to create some common ground between young people and the British Labour Party, who I think in the last couple of elections have failed to get their ideas across to young people. So we're kind of independent from them, but trying to bring them out of themselves a bit, get them away from their sort of patronising attitude they have towards young people.
Well, how difficult is it to be completely independent of that? Because presumably if you're prepared to give your support to the Labour Party, that in fact, if they don't start doing the sort of things that you'd like to see done, you're going to have to either pull out or give them a bit of stick.
Oh, well, we undoubtedly give them a lot of stick, and if they win the next general election and don't deliver, then we still, have to be there to give them stick. However much they take notice of us, I don't really know, because we don't literally represent anybody like some of the big trade unions do. But we have a very high profile, and I think we're doing something for them that they can't do themselves. If they could do it themselves, they'd be doing it. But they can't.
Why can't they do it, though?
I don't know, because they're grown-ups trying to get their attitude across to young people, riding bikes for socialism and stuff like that. It doesn't work like that. Young people don't want to have things done for them. They want to take part in doing things, and take part, I believe anyway, and take part in sort of like setting their own agenda for what they want. You can't just hand stuff down. It's that old attitude, vote for me and I'll change everything for you. What about, you
Well, then how do you get the young people into power then?
Well,
presumably that's what you have to do.
Yeah, that's another problem we're running up against, because the Labour Party has a number of channels, among which is the Labour Party Young Socialist, which if people working with Red Wedge want to join things, then they can go and join that. But to work with Red Wedge, you don't have to join the Labour Party or be a member of anything. Well, in fact, I think we're getting over to people who have come to quite radical ideas outside the machinery of the Labour Party through the single-issue movements like the anti-apartheid movement or the campaign for nuclear disarmament. They've come to their political awareness through that, because the Labour Party just hasn't catered for political thought going on outside of their sort of like little circle. So I think we're resonating in that area.
The music business is traditionally one which gets involved in anything that will sell records. How do you feel about the potential use or abuse of the system, whereby you'll have a band and the record company say, "Grand, get into Red Wedge, go on the tour, guaranteed publicity, let's sell a few records"?
Well, that's always true. I mean, that's true of anything. But why? You can't. The first Red Wedge gig, Gary Kemp came along from Spandau Ballet. Now, you might not. Your attitude about Spandau Ballet, as regards socialism, might not be too great. But you can't. If someone genuinely wants to come along and take part, you can't turn around and say, "Oh no, you dressed wrong, mate," or "You play the wrong sort of music." You've got to accept him on face value. And what he said and what he played fitted in with what Red Wedge did. He played solo. And after all, it's the people who are buying Spandau Ballet records we've got to get across to. The people who are buying Billy Bragg records already, I should imagine, have some political view or vision. It's the Spandau Ballet fans who don't, that we've got to get our ideas across to. So I welcome people from who you wouldn't normally expect to come and take part.
You've obviously grown in stature now over the last 18 months. The gigs are much bigger. You've been touring down under, you've been all over the place. How difficult is it for you now just to keep the essence of Billy Bragg and not feel that you're potentially going to play to thousands of people who'll pay thousands of pounds on the door, and eventually Billy Bragg will be extremely well off? Yeah, well, that's something that I have absolutely no qualms about. The first job I ever had was like I earned £1,000 a year, £1,048 per annum as an office boy, and I can earn that in a night, and I'm quite proud of that achievement. I think what you have to do is just keep your feet on the ground and not do things only specifically for money. You have to look at things and say, well, that's really, that's a very interesting idea to go and do that. Maybe doing gigs in areas that don't necessarily make a lot of money. Maybe up in the Outer Hebrides, we went over to the Soviet Union, areas in where you're not making a lot of money. If you keep if your criteria in the end becomes only doing things for money, I think that's then that's a bit
suspect.
suspect.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Yeah.
Breda, you have a question for young Sir Billy Bragg, Barnsworth Constable and also of borderline jacket here as well.
Yeah, I've run out of shirts.
Yeah, that's
Well, I just want to say that last year Labour Youth organised a gig under the banners of Red Wedge, and a lot of people came to the gig and a lot of people got interested in the Labour movement. Over in Britain, have many people got interested in the Labour movement, and have a lot of people joined the LPYS as a result of Red Wedge?
No, I don't think so, really. Perfectly honest with you. I mean, the LPYS, the Young Socialists, should be chock-a-block with people when you think what's happening to young people in Margaret Thatcher's Britain. But our biggest enemy outside of the Conservatives is just general apathy. You know, it really is difficult to get people to actually want to take part. So many people are sort of, you know, I don't care anymore. You know, nobody cares about me anymore. Why should I bother? And that's, you know, that sort of leads to all sorts of abuses of self-abuse, you know, running yourselves down and stuff like that.
And do you think the miners' strike had a terrible lot of effect on young people?
The miners' strike for young people in Great Britain, I think, really was an incredible catalyst because it put us all for the first time in a really serious political situation. And it brought a lot of people together from the single-issue movements and gave us the opportunity to, you know, express our things together communally.
Ben.
Yeah, we've had some of the same things in Ireland. I mean, we had Artists Against the Amendment in '82, and we also had some support benefits for the Divorce Action Group. But I mean, the fact that you're, you know, directly aligned to one party. Now, I'm not a socialist, but I'm, you know, I'm sympathetic to a lot of things you talk about. But don't you think there's a danger of either you being manipulated by the Labour Party just to bolster their image, you know, the Rose image and this kind of stuff? And also, do you also think there might be a danger of you being accused of manipulating young people through pop music?
Yeah, firstly, obviously, the Labour Party are going to try and manipulate us because politicians love having their photographs taken with pop stars. They love it. But then they want to say, oh, that's it, off you go now. But if you start saying, well, we want the, you know, we want to, you know, what you've got no policy on, for instance, pirate radio, what are you going to do about that, and stuff like that. Start picking it up with them. We have had some response towards that, and that encourages me to take part in with them. You know, you have to work with them rather than standing off. Nothing changes unless you take part with them. And as far as talking to young people is concerned, Red Wedge has never, ever said vote Labour. We've always said look at what the Labour Party has to offer, find out as much as you can and make up your own mind.
Angelo.
Do you not find it hard to affiliate yourself with something like the Labour Party when like they've sat on the fence on so many issues? Say with like the miners' strike you mentioned.
Of course, yeah.
Well,
I think.
But how can you sort of like? I know like I stand for what a lot of you say, but like how can you justify like something like the Labour Party, say in England, or Ireland even more so, like the Irish Labour Party I see is a bit of a joke. Like how can you sort of justify that in so many senses? Like with a party who have done so little.
Well, really, I think it comes to you have to come to the conclusion, what can you do, and you have to look at the situation. I mean, the miners' strike in Great Britain, for some reasons I can't understand, failed to even produce a general strike, which suggests that the Labour movement is incredibly demoralised. So after that, we came away from that and thought, well, how are we going to get Margaret Thatcher out? And the Labour Party, quite honestly, as long as we take part in making policies and putting ideas forward, it gives us the best example.
I can't really see them getting any more militant if they do get into power. Like I can see them even sitting more on the fence.
I think Labour parties get more. They're much more radical in opposition, aren't they? Always. We just have to take part with them and make sure that they don't go sideways.
A quick question from Andrew, please.
I think you're really interesting, Billy, but I think there are a lot of groups. There's a new kind of discrimination that if you involve ethnic minorities and women, you can get gigs, you can get on the Red Wedge, the publicity. Don't you think that's a bad thing?
No, I think we accept anybody who wants to come and do work with us, whether they've you know, have any particular affiliation. We certainly had a women's tour.
But don't you think you accept them more? It's a new kind of discrimination. If you've got an all-women group, then they're in.
No, I don't think you can say we're discriminating if we accept someone like Spandau Ballet to come along who don't really represent, you know, anything other than the sort of rockist idea.
Just quickly, Billy, I want to get Eileen in just for a second.
Yeah, well, like I'm
Very quickly, Eileen,
I'm a
please.
member of Labour Youth and a militant support as well, and I do feel that young people have to get organised, and I think the best way of organising is through the Labour movement, and I think in that way the Red Wedge can help that, but also I think they'll have to fight to change the policies, because a Labour government that gets in without socialist policies will be as bad as a Tory government.
All right, well, you've
once it's
managed
in.
to mention that party more times than you said you any use would. Anyway, right, look, we got to finish anyway. Billy, thanks for coming in, and you're always a welcome visitor to
very much.
the programme. We'd like to see you.